اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم ألهمنا مراشد أمورنا وأعذنا من شرور أنفسنا. Last year over the year we discussed a chapter in the Kitab of Mishkat. The beginning of the chapter was known as Kitabur Riqaq, the chapter of those ahadith that were meant to break a person's hard-heartedness and to incline him towards the year after. It was to give an invitation to a man who was living in a world of lies, a world of deception. Riqaq means that become soft and think of something else. And why it's so important in this world is that everything today has become like a fun, an occupation. The purpose behind everything today is to make money. But once a person was becoming a doctor and you asked him, why are you becoming a doctor? Once upon a time it would have been to help people. But today it got nothing to do with help, it got to do how much he earns. A lawyer, how much he earns. But more and over and above all of that, this fitna of mal, wa fitnatu ummati al-mal, finally it managed to creep into the people of knowledge also. And today knowledge has become a fun also. That after graduating or while studying, the main thing is about what job will I get after this? What salary will I pull after this? What car will I drive after this? So when dunya was going to become such a maqsad in the world for the people of ilm, and for the people of dunya, for it to be the main maqsad was not going to be impossible. And when mal was going to become the main thing, then to kill for mal, no one will kill for ilm. But to kill for mal, to be able to get more, even if it means that somebody else must get harmed, somebody else must get broken. There was a time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he explained it, he said, I don't fear on you poverty. I fear when the wealth will flow amongst you. There was a time a man could go amongst so many people in so many Arab worlds, and at every stop they would take out and they would give him some camel meat and some camel milk, and they would say to him, why don't you stay with us for a few days? And there was marhaban, marhaban. And then there was a time when Allah Tabaraka Ta'ala opened up the wealth of the world to them. And the normal is we would have thought that at that time, then with that wealth, because they were blessed with unique hearts, Biyafat was always theirs. It would have been understood with that unique wealth, they would have opened up all the doors for the people of the world. But if you travel in the Arab worlds today, you will find that they opened up all doors for fitna. But there's no door open for deen. When the Khilafat was destroyed and that wealth started in those worlds, whoever were the people of ilm, those that were ready to sell their knowledge got a lot of wealth also. But those that wanted to stand on their knowledge, they found that more mukhalafat came from the Muslims who got wealth than the non-Muslims. Thousands died, thousands went to prison, thousands had to just be quiet. And with that wealth, they saw what and what fitna opening up around them. Fitna that they never saw in non-Muslim worlds, they saw it now in front of them. Fitna to ummati al-mal. So that's on a very high level, but when it comes with a major sting. But everybody feels that I'll take only little. But there's no only little in this. Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it so beautifully. He said, if man had to get that one valley, he will still want the second valley. Where every person feels, no, I'll stop on one. But Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew us better than we know ourselves. But there's no stop. So the chapter of Riqaq, why it was so unique was, it was different from what the world was saying. And when we started it last year, we said that some of those ahadith, you will really feel that this is not for the times we're living in. Meaning this is too high. But the normal law is that when you want someone to come straight, and he has inclined completely towards one side, you will have to twist him to the other side. You twist it so hard that when you leave that page, at least it comes little bit. But if it's just left, and that's how the world wants it, that only mention that what we're doing, that means we're right. And whatever we're not doing, don't mention it because it's too hard. So Islam is a very easy religion. It's a very simple religion. And when you look at how moderate it is, it's so unique in its moderateness. But at the same time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam always spoke about the extreme in piety. And he would mention that extreme, but when he would see Sahaba radiallahu anh becoming sad and feeling that we are doomed, then he would say to them, no, have Lord mercy in Allah. He would speak so evil about wealth, and when he would find them like hating wealth, then he would show them the fadail of wealth. But no, it's very good if you know how to use it. There was always the turn to the east so that the turn to the west doesn't become too severe. Then he created in that manner a very unique, moderate ummah. But the ahadith he would give in what is now known the second chapter on Kitabur Riqaq, or the beginning chapter, after the ahadith that we mentioned last year. The beginning chapter of this year comes now, Babu Fadlil Fuqara, the chapter of the virtue of the people of poverty. That is a chapter no one likes to hear. Because poverty means poverty. For the world and poverty doesn't mean what an alim is earning. That's not poverty. Normally in the joke they do say that when that elephant came, and they said, if anyone can make the elephant cry, then the Maulana came and he told how much he earns, and the elephant cried after that. It never cried before. But even the alim has never seen poverty. Poverty was what people in the world saw when days and days went and there was no food. That was poverty. In our time today, we have understood poverty because each person looks at the man more rich. So he says, I am poorer than him. So there the whole world will be poor. The whole world. Especially because the magazines that we see, they advertising the man earns R1 million a month. So everyone, no matter what he earns, he say, hey, I wonder how I'll get there. I'm also poor. So in that we understood fuqara, faqr, poverty. And even that we're so scared about. I don't want it. When I graduate, how much will I earn? I don't want to be poor. But that meaning of poor means that compared to the richer man, I don't want to be lower. That level, meaning I'm so rich, I don't want to be so rich, I want to be even more rich. So what a chapter was going to start this. Babu Fadlil Fuqara, the honor of those people who got zero. Nothing. When normally the world will look at them with disgrace. Remember the hadith we read last week? It said, what a hadith for the people of knowledge. Inni as'aluka fi'al al-khayrat. That, oh Allah, to be able to do all good, to be able to leave whatever is not right. The third part was وَحُبَّ الْمَسَاكِينَ. To have a love for the people of poverty. This chapter here, Babu Fadlil Fuqara, وَمَا كَانَ مِنْ عَيْشِ النَّبِي صلى الله عليه وسلم. What was his life? It was not to say to you that you must become poor. Because when a person gives a bayan of debt, so many people don't like to hear this thing. So the alim will say then that by speaking about death doesn't mean you're going to die. He says, I'm speaking about it because I want to create within you the love of death. So to get the love of death, then the day the man dies, you have to die one day. But if you say that in a bayan, I'm speaking of poverty, you won't become poor. But I want to create within you the love of poverty, even then they'll say, no way. So we have to add one extra part. That at least to create within you the love of the people who are poor. وَحُبَّ الْمَسَاكِينَ. There then everyone will say, okay, right now you can speak. Because no one, even the rich, even the poor, even the great sheikh, even the alim, no one wants poverty. Imagine you go up to a great sheikh and you say, I'll make a dua for you, I'm going for hajj. He says, Jazakallah, what dua? So you say, I'll make dua, Allah make you poor. You think he'll say Ameen? Like,
He won't say Ameen, because this world is like that. But at least this part, وَحُبْ أَهْلِ الْفَقْرِ. Faqr is not a thing the world has been told ask for. But to have love for the people who are poor will teach man a lot of things. That وَحُبَّ الْمَسَاكِينَ, which was put in the dua. You will see in this chapter here where Rasulullah ﷺ taught his Sahaba radiallahu anh, what the people of poverty got. In explaining these ahadith, it was going to benefit on two ways or many ways, but two which stand out. One was, there were definitely going to be poor people in the world. And every person was always going to feel sad, why I don't have so much like the person above, so he's also poor. Islam came to make man happy. That no matter what your condition is, you might be a very rich man, but you also feel yourself poor. But when you read the ahadith of the honor of the people of poor, you'll also say, I'm a poor person. My uncle or my brother-in-law, he is very rich. So suddenly you can't drive what he is driving. You can't fly like how he is flying. So at least you can read the ahadith and say, at least in Jannah I'll be better than him. So one was to make the poor people happy. That this world, if you're not getting it here, don't cry, because you're going to get it somewhere else. But the other was to say to the rich, that you can understand that wealth doesn't mean you are important in the eyes of Allah. You must understand that wealth does not mean you important in the eyes of Allah. Sahaba radiallahu anhu, when they were rich, you will see the manner they behaved was because of these ahadith that are going to come now. They looked at wealth as a gift from Allah, but it never meant I'm great. And when they looked at the poor person, they looked at him with the eyes, in the eyes of Allah, you are a very great man. That rich man who can have this, pride will never grab him. Because whatever has made him rich, he will understand it to be a gift of Allah. And the one who hasn't got that there, he will look at him that perhaps you more valuable in the eyes of Allah. So that pride doesn't come. In knowledge also this must happen. In class, in the madrasa, in the world, there are some who have been given more talent over others. Talent is a gift that has made you rich in knowledge. Your mind is sharp, so you remember more. Your understanding is sharper, so you understand more. Your tongue is more fluent, you can speak better, you can read better. But talent in the ending is like wealth also. It comes to who Allah has given. It's a gift. But when you look at the one who hasn't got the talent, and if you ever feel that this talent has made me better than him, then this chapter is for me and you. That the love of the people of faqr means who don't have. It means who don't have wealth. It will have the meaning who don't have looks also. Just because he doesn't look so handsome doesn't mean in the eyes of Allah he is not handsome. So when that handsomeness came to me, otherwise what has stopped? Why the world, the person who got more looks down on the person who got less? Because this one chapter of the Sunnah never came in front of them. They were never exposed that if Allah gave you a talent, doesn't mean you're greater in front of Allah than the one who hasn't got. If He gave you a stature, you are greater than the one who doesn't have. The man who learned this chapter, he will never take a chance of ever laughing at someone in a manner of pride. It will always be, I do not know what his status is in front of Allah. The first hadith of this bab, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, Rubba ash'ath. How many they are, many a time they are, that a man doesn't look nice at all. Ash'ath means that his hair is all untidy. That's one meaning. One meaning his entire life is all messed up. His entire life, not only the hair, everything is messed up. Whatever he tried, he just failed at it. The people are even tired of him. No one wants to even see him. Madfu bil abwab. Madfu bil abwab, if he comes to the door also, the people don't want to entertain. They know he'll start the same story, hey, that last business deal never go well, hey, now I don't know what to do. So a person doesn't like to listen to sad stories. Madfu bil abwab. His entire life is messed up. One is his hair is messed up, he's being pushed away from the door, that person. One, his entire life is messed up, no one wants to entertain him. Madfu bil abwab. But there are those amongst them, lo aqsama ala Allahi la abarrah. That Almighty Allah looks at them with such an eye, that if they had to say something, Almighty Allah in the honor of them will say, since the servant of mine said it, I'll make it happen. I will make it happen. Now he doesn't even know he got that maqam. He's got a very hard life. He's even complaining all the time that why Allah did this. Why I'm suffering so much. But in that suffering he has reached such a position by Almighty Allah. Only Almighty Allah will not expose it to him, otherwise pride will destroy him. And Allah will not take him out of that position, otherwise he won't remain there. But so much of honor he hasn't himself understood his honor. The people haven't understood. But why the ahadith taught this to both parties? It taught it to the poor man that when poverty has hit you, when everything is going upside down, then instead of falling into despondency, this one hadith is there for you. That perhaps Allah got so much of honor for you, so much of honor, that if you have to say something, Allah will say, no problem, I'll make sure it happens in the world. But I will not expose your greatness to you also at the moment. It gives that man great hope that who knows that this world is not a picture of the hereafter. So he gets happy. And it gave a message to the people of talent, to the people of wealth, that don't ever laugh, don't ever mock, don't ever look down, don't ever interfere with someone who hasn't got a talent, who hasn't got wealth. Because who knows, perhaps he could be that man. And you might interfere with him, and you might irritate him, you might anger him, you might mock him. And at that day he might be in such a difficult condition, because when difficulties come, it comes one after the other. So sometimes that man now is like finished, and you just added that last one small prick to the thing. On that day, had you smiled at him, you could have lifted him up. And if you lifted him, he could have been so happy with you at that time. And maybe at that time he could have just said, may Allah give you whatever you want. His life is still in a shambles. But that one sentence was, Aqsama ala Allah la abarra. That if he had to say, let it happen, Allah will just open up, say, no problem. He won't be shown it. He will still remain in his poverty. But your whole life will get made. And if mistakenly you had to give that man a thorn at that moment, for you it was just one mock. I never say anything so bad. I just said something out of turn. It wasn't so big. But the man who already got 100 problems in his life, one extra problem, the 101th is big. So suddenly you made the mistake of just hitting the final bomb. He couldn't take it anymore. At that time he just said something. The world troubled him, but you were at that moment in front. And he said something. And you will say that, no, I'm not deserving of it at the moment. But that man is such, lo aqsama ala Allahi la abarra, that if he had to say it, Allah will make it happen. Just to teach the people, have love for the people of faqr. Don't ever look down on them. Second hadith of the chapter. Hazrat Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas radiyallahu anhu, son Mus'ab bin Sa'ad rahimullah says, my father Sa'ad, see how open Sahaba radiyallahu anhu were. Whatever they were taught, how they explained it to the world. So he says, my father Sa'ad felt that anna lahu fadlan ala man dunahu, that because of the wealth, the bravery that Allah Tabarak Ta'ala had given Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas radiyallahu an, a feeling came in him that in the eyes of Almighty Allah he has a status much higher than many around him. And these feelings are normal blows, as long as the feeling is in you and you don't give expression on the outside. You don't go and say, you know who I am. You don't go say, I am the great Rabb. You don't go and punch somebody else and say, get out of my way. You don't know who I am. But there's a feeling in you. Ra'a sa'adan anna lahu fadlan ala man duna. He had a feeling within him that he has a status higher than those around him. So most likely he felt upset with this. So he would have gone to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say, I get this feeling sometimes. And this is a natural feeling. You will get it in class if you got more knowledge than somebody else. You will get it in wealth when you have more wealth than somebody else. If you are going for Umrah, you will get it looking at those not going for Umrah. If you are going for Hajj, you will get it looking at those not going for Hajj. It's a normal feeling. Whoever got something, whatever you got, you'll just feel little great. So he had that feeling, but how they would take it. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam just asked him one question. What a question it was. And that question was like the ilaj for this, the remedy for this. That whenever this feeling will come to you, then you must think that the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is asking me this question. Because he put it in a plural form also. Although he was speaking to one. He said, هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ إِلَّا بِدُعَفَائِكُمْ. That hal means what? What is a question? Meaning, you give an answer. And the answer is that yes, it is this. He says, what? Where is your help coming from? And where is your sustenance coming from? Except from the weak people around you. هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ. Turzaqun means wealth. Tunsarun means shuja'at, bravery, talent, help, understanding. In a madrasa, there are many students who are very weak. And there are few selected students who got talent. When you're in that class, one of two things can happen. Because of your talent, you can start feeling that I am great, the others are wasting time. He doesn't understand the sabak can go farther. That if he leaves the class, maybe life will be better. هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ. That perhaps the help that is coming to you is because of them. There is something called that when rain falls, then it falls because of the deserving, and the undeserving also get it. This wording meant this here. That talent never meant you deserving of it. Perhaps those that are around you are deserving of it, and because of their blessings you are also getting it. So perhaps there are many weak people around. Because of them, Almighty Allah sends a waterfall down. And as that water comes, then it gathers towards you, because you're in the middle. You getting a talent, you getting wealth, doesn't mean that it's coming because of you. It could be sometimes coming because of others. Whenever you will sit in a class and you look around you and you see someone weak, someone poor, think of this. هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ إِلَّا بِدُعَفَائِكُمْ. When wealth will come in your life, think of this. هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ إِلَّا بِدُعَفَائِكُمْ. If a poor person comes to you and he wants some help, you can help him, you can't help him. But never ever become rude because of هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ إِلَّا بِدُعَفَائِكُمْ. That had these people not been around, perhaps Almighty Allah would have taken me to task for what I do. Talent doesn't mean I'm deserving. Perhaps others were. And through their barakah, it just came to me. هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ إِلَّا بِدُعَفَائِكُمْ. So whenever that feeling comes, then you must just repeat this to yourself. And think that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying it to me. And what an effect it had. Sahaba radiallahu anhum, one sentence, their entire understanding changed after that. Fadlul fuqara, to love the fuqara, to look at them with that understanding that on you is the mercy of Allah falling. On you it's falling. A teacher of the madrasa has been taught this, هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ إِلَّا بِدُعَفَائِكُمْ. Understand, help is coming to you because of them. Had it not been for them, in every madrasa normally a principal is supposed to say this to his ustads, that do not think you doing a favor to the students. Number one, if there was no students there, you'll have no job. So your sustenance is because of them. But more than that sustenance, your ilm is because of them. If there was no one to study, you think you'll be so fresh in your knowledge. Within 2 months, if a man doesn't read a kitab, he becomes dry. You go out in the world, you will find top ulama, you'll go visit them, you'll ask for du'as. But you will see that they were the great shagird of a great muhaddis of the era. But because when they came back, they never had the chance to be involved in teaching. So within a few months, you start become rusty, dry. And thereafter that knowledge which was so strong once upon a time starts going. So when you meet that alim, he will make dua for you. He's a very pious person, but he will say one thing that, you know what, I never thought, I went into business. So now, that time you will understand that because of the weaker, the stronger benefits. Because of the weaker, what a unique sentence this was, Pas. In the world they teach something called the theory of evolution. And then they taught the theory about that the destruction of the weaker so that the stronger can remain. Don't know what was that wording. So that is why so many wars took place. It was on this basis. It was part of this theory of evolution, but they had another word for it. It was put in the minds by the satanic forces that the world hasn't got enough for everyone. So if you get rid of 10 weaker people, you'll get one strong one born. So that's why you always had this apartheid in the world, the creation of the supreme nation that killed 20,000 from the island or from the land, so that this 5,000 will be unique. Every talent that will come on them. So if there's handsomeness, instead of dividing, kill everyone, then it will only be you handsome. So it's a very funny theory, but it was this theory that made Stalin do what he did, made Hitler do what he did. The survival of the strong at the expense of the weak. The theory of survival and evolution. And look at the ahadith, one sentence and it put it around the other way. هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ إِلَّا بِدُعَفَائِكُمْ. Your survival is because of the weak. Take away the weak, you will also go. The survival of the people of ilm is because of the people who are asking. The student makes the teacher. A person becomes a great muhaddis. Why? Because he taught for 10 years. Had there been no students for 10 years, he would not be the great muhaddis. So he will say that more than you all, I have made ihsan on you, you have made ihsan on me. Had you not come to me, Allah would have not sent knowledge to me. That's in ilm. And then in everything else after that. Wealth comes to one person, not because he's deserving, Allah has to give. But the poor people around him, their sustenance was written at this man's hands. So one of two ways, when that poor person comes and he says, help me out. One is the rich person can regard him as a burden. That you think my money is for you. And one is the rich person can think this, that perhaps Allah sends more to me because I have to also give him and I also have to give him. And if Allah had to give him directly, then I wouldn't get nothing. But Allah wanted it to come through me to him. So it's because of him I'm getting. Had he not been there, I wouldn't have got. That is why in Darul Uloom Deoband on the Dastarkhan at one time it was written that don't ever be scared of mehman. Don't ever be scared of mehman, guests. So it was written, Rozi unki, Dastarkhan apna. That the Dastarkhan is yours, but the sustenance is theirs. So if they coming, they'll come with their sustenance. It's just you lucky the sustenance is coming on your Dastarkhan. You can also get a chance to eat. You'll eat their food, they'll thank you. But it's a very hard thing to understand. But look at that sentence. These words of the Sunnah were told to make the whole world go this way again. Everyone walks and he looks at the poor people, another calamity, another burden, another problem. هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the worst walima or the worst da'wat is the walima when the rich are invited and the poor are left out. The question was, what's so important about the poor people here? That the poor are left out. So scholars have written that the main thing of nikah is dua. That is why you come to the masjid. That is why everyone must read the khutbah first. You started with the name of Allah. That's why the khutbah ends immediately with Barakallahu lak alayk jama'a baynakuma bil khair. And then you make dua, oh Allah, put barakah between them and love like how you did this. It's dua. Otherwise the marriage itself, boy and girl can do it themselves. You just land up by a house and say, you will marry me, say, I'll marry you, finish. But why they had to come to the masjid? Why they had to get the imam? Dua. Now Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam thought, have a walima after that. Now what was the purpose of the walima? One is the boy must show, I'm happy. Obviously you're happy. I mean, if you said the day after you spent with the girl, then it's a very terrible girl it was. So you don't have to go show everyone, oh, what a night. That happiness is not necessary. The purpose of the walima was, why was it said that the poor mustn't be left out? The purpose of that walima was that man who's hungry, if you can put something in his mouth. Sometimes that man never see food for so many days. Perhaps he is amongst those people, lo aqsama ala Allah la abarra. He's so thrilled when he's sitting on the dastarkhan. And he got one top meal coming. So when he is eating that meal, whether he knows who got married, sometimes you won't even know who got married. He'll just say, Allah, keep them happy. He doesn't even know who they are. That one dua of his made everything happen. Everything happened. Aqsama ala Allah la abarra. But the problem comes when the poor person is left out. The rich people, they don't make dua, they only burp. Because they eat. How much they eat? They eat at home the same food. They come here, they eat. They don't make dua. They are not amongst those people. Ash'ath madfu bil abwab. Law aqsama ala Allah la abarra. So they're not going to make the dua. And normally when they eat, they will not eat like a poor person. A poor person will finish up everything because he's hungry. He'll never get a dawat like this again. A rich man, he'll eat little bit, half his plate you'll see wasted. Now when the dawat is wasted, his food, no one's going to eat. Another rich man is not going to say, hey, let me clean your plate. And the caterers normally, they're not going to ever say, hey, don't waste this food. Everything is going to be taken. It's paid for already. You paid per head. They got their money. Now they need to clean. Normal one way of cleaning is they take everything and just throw it in the bin. That's one way. Another way could have been that they will say, look for the poor people now. And whatever is left over, at least take it to them. But where they'll do it? So normally they'll put everything in the bin. Everything. And when food is in a bin, the next day you will definitely get one poor man going past the bins. Because if he can't get food by your house, he's getting it by the bin. As he's looking in the bin, now he sees that food there. So sometimes he might see it and he'll take it and say, hey, what food? And then he'll see written there, walima food. And he might just say, hey, Allah, keep them happy. It doesn't seem like that. Sometimes it might happen that he'll look at that food and he will just say that ruined may be the people who threw this food in here. He might say it like that also. Lo aqsama ala Allah la abarra. Who knows that may Allah just make it happen. So that walima was called, what a terrible dawat it is, that the rich are called, the poor are left out. Meaning the main thing of the thing was the poor. This is the chapter of Hubbul Fuqara. When you see a man, understand him to be a man of dua. If he's a Muslim to a much greater extent, even if he's a non-Muslim, he's a man of prayer. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala has given the poor people a certain honor in His sight. It is because of them that the rich get help, the talented get their talents, the strong get their strength. Pride must never come to the man who got when he looks at the one who hasn't got. But he must remember this word, هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ إِلَّا بِدُعَفَائِكُمْ. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala bless us all with the love of the poor people, with the love of the weak. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala protect us from all from pride. Wa akhiru da'wana.